First, I want to thank Ed and Bill for putting a really nice plug for African Vision of Hope this morning. Appreciate that and appreciate the concern that you've had for our organization for so many years. This is talking about years. This is our 25th year of being in ministry right here in the Edwardsville area that we serve Zambia. But we need to hear from me. I'd like to introduce to you our Executive Director of African Vision of Hope, Anna Davey. She happens to be a former Interact president, and now she's the Executive Director of African Vision of Hope, and my daughter, Anna Davey.
Great. Good afternoon, everyone. It's good to be with you all again. I think we were here perhaps about a year ago, and a lot can happen in a year. So we just want to thank you for how you've been involved thus far with changing lives. We want to show you some of those lives and the good things that continue happening this year. So as he said, this is our 25th year. I have not been as involved over those past 25 years, but I have been able to witness the past 25 years of change. So they were just there a couple weeks ago when took this really fantastic celebratory picture of our students that are living in rescue care there. That's full-time care. The most vulnerable and or orphan children live there in those buildings you see behind. So they had a good time with the confetti and balloons and all that. And I do want to mention on your table are magazines, or what we would call our annual reports. So those are created inside our office, which is just located in Maryville, every year in about September. So that gives a report on how many children are in school, stories of transformation, what's coming next, videos, so you can use the QR codes there to really take you to the ground in Zambia. So please take those home. They're there for you to take. Right, so because it's our 25th year, we kind of wanted to give just a small glance back. So here's a snippet into 25 years ago. We have 23 children in just a little rented tavern, and there they are. We didn't know that today there's 6,355 children receiving an education. These children don't pay anything to receive this education, which is very different for the country of Zambia. Usually going to school in Zambia brings a lot of fees. You've got to pay for a uniform. You've got to have your books. You do have to pay fees to take tests that allow you to pass to the next grade. So financial resources have to be there. With these children, they didn't have those, which is why they're at the African Vision of Hope schools attending for free. For those of you who aren't familiar with African Vision of Hope, our vision is to see every child and family to be released from extreme poverty and to be able to fulfill the plan God has for their lives. I mean, that's kind of what we all want to do, is we want to reach our fullest potential. And so we want to see each and every child in Zambia do that. No obstacles stand in the way. In order to do that, these are the 4 areas the organization touches on. And so we kind of want to bring you through how we do that. So our feeding program now is up to 24,000 children fed on a daily basis. You may notice that's more than the amount of children that are in schools. So we do feed children within the community, children that go to schools within the community that don't have feeding programs and are not eating lunch at all. And so that number is increasing day by day. Clean water, that's a big thing. I know that's a thing that you all are passionate about as well and have helped with in the past. And so we did want to touch on this. We always have water and sanitation needs. And so we're working on getting a well put in our empowerment center. I'll talk about that in a little bit. And we are working on getting sanitation. And what I mean by sanitation is toilets put in our new campus. If we don't have toilets at a campus, it's not a functioning and proper school, because you open up children to a lot of health issues, and as well as females struggle really to make it to school if you're not going to provide them a place to use restrooms. So here's some of the things that we have building for the future that I just mentioned. Rescue care, I showed you that picture in the beginning with the confetti. All those children live in rescue care. Here's an aerial view of the grounds. And then you can see that we are adding on, so excited to double our capacity and allow more children to have a place to grow up safe and healthy. We are everything to these children, so they don't have pediatricians that are doing their well visits. So our 2 nurses take care of these 6,000 children, doing deworming. They're doing height checks to make sure that there aren't any growth stunting or anything like that, and that these children are prospering. All right, and we're going to touch on the education portion that African Vision of Hope provides through the generosity of others. So this is our STEM campus. I'm not sure if we were able to show you this last year. It did open in June of 23. We're working on phase 2 of the STEM school. And so that will allow us to have more students come to the school. We do have our vulnerable students that are on scholarship to this school. And we do have paying students that are coming to this school in order to help continue to fund the program. But this is kind of similar to a college that you would find in Zambia, but it is grades 8 through 12. And here they are studying, and these are the children that are going to take the roles in Zambia that are missing right now. So many things are outsourced because none of people are trained in the sciences and engineering. So they're not building their own roads, they're not solving their own problems. But now, if we can put more children in a STEM education, they can solve the problems for their own country. So these are our students learning, they're in front of computers. A huge need we have right now, we just like to put that out there in case anyone has connections, is computers. Just these simple ones that you can see these children working on here. If you know a company or school getting rid of computers, we took Edwardsville High School's old computers and I think bought them for $5 a piece several years ago, and these children are still using them. When we rebuild them through in Zambia. And so if you do have any connections to people getting rid of old and used computers that are probably old technology, we would love to have them. Robotics, that's a huge thing that has developed over the past couple of years and is really allowing these children to gain skill sets that really put them into the global economy and allow them to have competitions with each other and throughout the country. We are working on finding some funding for the next robotics program as well. I want to share one transformation story with you. So if you see this picture on the left, that's little Joseph. And then on the far right, that's Joseph with his law degree after just passing the bar in Zambia. He was a double orphan by age 7. He had lost both of his parents. You know, at that point in Zambia, you're not going to be placed in foster care. It doesn't really exist. So he bounced around, went with aunt and uncle, tried to continue school, eventually had to drop out in 9th grade because uncle said, hey, you know, the money's dried up. So this is just kind of the end for you. And at that point, you know, you have some options, but not a lot of great options. You know, you're 15 years old and that's kind of where you're an adult. And what do you do next? But he learned about African Vision of Hope, entered into school, completed his high school education. He went on scholarship through African Vision of Hope, many years of schooling, as you might imagine, and then just graduated late last year, 2024, and passed the bar and is now an attorney in the country of Zambia and does serve on our board in Zambia as a volunteer offering legal advice. So that's helpful as well. But I just wanted to give you a really tangible vision of what can happen when you remove obstacles from a child's life and you say, just focus on being educated, just focus on being a child, just focus on reaching your full potential. We want them to learn critical life skills. This is another one of the 4 core areas. So empowerment, I said I'd touch on that. This is a brand new center that we're working on in Zambia. That is where we have the well need. This is an aerial view of our plans for empowerment. So it's mental empowerment. It's also skill cultivation. So we have experimental gardens. This is where they'll learn financial literacy. They'll be able to also get training through our empowerment mentors on what does it look like to not, live in an oppressive environment as a female? What does it look like to have choices and options? What does it look like to not live in the poverty mindset? So these are just some pictures of training going on as we're building out the center. So we've already started, but just working on funding to build this out completely. And here's our children growing cabbage and all sorts of things so that they can feed their future families. And then our last area is finding restoration in Christ. So these are our pastors and our children who get counseling, Bible studies, worship, and weekly chapels. I really want to touch on our upcoming celebration. It's a huge year for us, 25. We do have some save the dates over here. We absolutely love to have you join us at the celebration of the Cheese Park Plaza on September 25th of 2025, 25th anniversary, so you can't forget it. Our VIP guest, Dennis and Laura Quaid, will be there. We do have an option for you to have a meet and greet with him, but it's a beautiful evening of celebration. If you can't join us, there's lots of ways to plug in. We'd love to have your business or a business that you're familiar with on display in our silent auction. If there's anything you think of that you might want to donate, an experience, an item, our 450 guests will be able to see that company on display, that item on display, as well as we usually have mobile bidders as well that aren't even there that are seeing your company, your business. So we'd love to have you involved in that way if you feel led. And we also have sponsorship opportunities as well to ensure that this event is a success, but it's not about the event, it's about the children that's going to impact. That's the whole purpose of this. It's a fun night, but there's children on the other end of it. His life is depending on this event and the generosity of the individuals there. Another way to plug in, I'm sorry if you haven't been able to hear me. I know I'm kind of in and out here, but Bob will be going back to Zambia in October. He just pretty much, if you're not sure where he is, if he's not here, he's usually in Zambia. So he'll be going back in October. That is a fantastic time to just go and see what can really happen whenever you invest in a child's life, see what you've been involved with through the Rotary. It's a vision trip of sorts. So if you've always had that in your mind and never made it possible, we do encourage you to get in touch with us and we can make sure you're on that trip. Oh, and then, sorry, I'm going to end with a video because I can say a bunch of things, but putting a child in front of you and actually letting them share a little bit of their story is far more impactful than anything I could say. So this is Mildred. She is a girl that grew up and attended our schools and graduated and is now in scholarship with us. I believe just recently graduated from college as well. So she's a transformation story and she wants to tell you her story.
My name is Mildred. I grew up from the village. I'm the seventh born, the last born. My family background, I started my school in 2008 when I was 8 years old. For me to be in school was challenging. We didn't have money to pay for my school fees. We didn't have food to eat at home. So mom used to make a business and we depended on family mostly for us for any living. And for the source of income at home, we used to just make rooms to put food on the table. So for education, we used to do the same thing. I'm the first one ever to be in school in my family. No one has ever been to school. But for me, I thank God I managed to be in school. In 2012, I was introduced to African Vision of Hope in Chorongwe, where I almost felt like this is the happiest moment of my life. I really thank God for me to be in African Vision of Hope organization. That's really helped me. I started in grade 4. Yes, that was in 2012. I actually took myself to school in grade 12. I enrolled myself. I continued with my education there. It was amazing for me to be in school. I was helped a lot in terms of food. I was given uniforms. I was given free books, even clothes. I was given shoes and everything, which I never had before I came to African Development. It really helped me a lot. And also my family. They didn't have enough money to pay for my school. But there, when I was introduced to African Vision of Hope, no one paid for anything for my education. Not until up until the time I graduated. Yes. So in 2021, I wrote my exams, my grade 12 exams. I passed. I did well, and I couldn't sit down. But most of my family wanted me to just stay at home because they never knew the meaning of school, the meaning of education, of being educated. They never encouraged me to go back to school. But I continued with my meaning of schooling. I told them I want to go back to school. Though some of my family members wanted me to get married, but which is I chose to get married because what I wanted was school. One day I sat down myself. I thought of applying for sponsorship, for scholarship for my school, because I knew that once I pass, they are going to help me, and they are the ones who can help me. They are my parents. I applied for sponsorship, I was accepted. I applied to the university, I was also accepted there. As I'm studying teaching, Bachelor of Education. That's why. For me, I chose teaching because I always wanted to be a teacher. Yes. And it's going to help me achieve my dreams. Me being a teacher, I'm going to help other people. Most especially when I'm teaching, I'll transform so many souls in class. I'll be giving my life as an example to my pupils of teaching in class. And I need to be here in school. That's meant a lot. I really thank God for everything I've done. I thank God for my organization and everyone in the organization. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And you're always invited to our office, 17 Professional Park, Maryville. It's in the magazine there. Well, actually, it should be on the gala forms. We just moved to a new office and we'd love to have you stop by. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much for that. On behalf of Home Nursery and the Sazowski family, I'd like to present you with today's centerpiece. Thank you very much for that information and great work as always. Bob and Kathy, you guys have done great jobs with the African Vision of Hope. Okay, real quickly, 50-50, it's